Hello. I have a lot of videos today, so there's going to be very little of me sitting here talking. I do want to say that if you have a question, something I say you don't understand, please ask it. Because a lady asked, what did I mean by opal and agate? You know, this nest was an agate, this nest will be opal. And I'll explain that. I do have a couple of videos of the various chicks as they're growing up, what they're doing right now. It's been 2 weeks since I filmed my last look at the birds. And I mean, the first nests that was hatching then are practically ready to fly out of the nest and be gone. So, you know, a lot happens in 2 weeks. One of the things that I'm going to show you is a video of 2 males that are feeding their chicks. And I mean, they're good daddies. I mean, they're feeding probably more than half of the chicks. The hens are beginning to be interested in nesting again, and these daddies are just feeding their chicks really well. This is interesting to me, and something that someone may not think of if they're not used to breeding canaries. Canaries feed their chicks like a wild songbird. So in other words, the chicks stay in the nest for several weeks, and the parents have to carry all the food to them. You know, a domestic fowl such as chickens and ducks and barnyard birds that we're most familiar with, as soon as they're hatched, they're this little fluffy ball and they peck around, and the hen goes and shows them where the food is and calls to them and sits on them at night to keep them warm. But basically, even if they don't have a mom, they eat for themselves. A canary is like a wild songbird, and they have to be fed for the first 2 weeks. Once they fly and leave the nest, they may still need to be fed, you know. So it's interesting. I got the book that had a fact in here I want to read to you. The Cornell University did some study on this and actually had people counting the number of trips that a songbird makes carrying food back. And there was a video made of a wren hen who made 1,217 food-bearing trips during one day, from one sunset or sunrise to a sunset that same day. So, you know, that's over 1,200 trips of food. And then there was a chickadee that did even more. There was 1,350 some trips. So, you know, a nest of wild songbirds may have 2 or 3 or whatever, and they have one nest a year because it's so much work to raise that nest. And our canaries, you know, we give them food to feed their chicks to make it easy, and we got it. I mean, they got the life of luxury because we provide them with the best of everything. And I often say, I think someone that's buying greens, organic greens for their birds, you know, do they eat these themselves? You know, are they feeding their birds better than they're feeding themselves? But, you know, our hens, canary hens, will make 2 nests, hatch 2 nests, and they will, you know, if they're fed well, they'll want to do a 3rd and 4th, but we just let them have 2. But there is that difference that most people don't stop and think about. And right now, you know, the emphasis is on feeding the chicks. And everything in my bird room is about 2 weeks old, give or take a few days. And most of them are leaving the nest, and I'll show you some pictures. We call it fledging, when they actually fly out of the nest. If they're sitting on the edge of the nest and they're not really very comfortable leaving it, we call them fledglings. But I do have a video of cleaning a nest, you know, moving the chicks from a dirty nest to a clean one. So, and then I got a little trick at the end, how to dispose of your garbage. How do you get rid of your trash the right way? I have a definite opinion on that. So I guess we'll go and we'll look at the birds, and I'll come back at the end. I had the question, what did I mean by opal and agate? I had a dark nest of birds up on top, and I said they're all going to be agates, and had a nest of lighter ones that I said were going to be mostly opal. So this is the darker nest, and this is the lighter nest. And what I mean by opal and agate is just the color. I'm talking about the color. I'll start out with a basic, well, yellow canary. This one is a clear yellow canary. He is completely yellow with no dark on him, so we call it, he may have a little tick on his head, a little dark, but we'll say he's a clear color. So they can be yellow or white or red, but a clear means there's no dark. This is a medium variegated one, and he has the clear color, plus he's got, a brown black combination. And what it is, if you look, the middle part of the feather is black, and they're surrounded by a little thin edging of brown. So this one is medium variegated. Okay, this one is dark variegated. It has, if it didn't have any clear yellow color on it, we would call it a self or a dark bird. So his feathers are a little further along. You can see how they're black with brown edging. Okay, when we get to a color mutation, a genetic, something they inherit genetically, I'll put him over there. We get to the opals and agates, and they can be an agate and an opal, and it's, various things. But basically, in an agate, it's a dilution of color. So, in other words, you can see that the black on his feathers has turned to a dark gray. It has diluted or faded to that, and the brown has faded to a light sandy tan color. So these are all agates, and they inherit those. So then this is the opal one, and this one is even more dilute. This is a genetic trait where it goes even more dilute. So you have one of their offspring was an agate, and the other three were opals. This one might be a little darker striping, but basically, now, so where it was black, it is completely faded away to a very soft gray, and the edging on the feathers has lightened even more. So it's either going to have some yellow or a little bit of brown, depending on, there's brown birds and there's black ones, but they all still basically have the two colors on their feathers. And the genetic things they inherit from their parents will just tell you how the color comes. Sometimes there's a hidden genetic color trait, and you will see something that comes in a chick that you don't see in your parents. But if both of the parent birds had that in their genetics, then you'll get an offspring from it. So anyway, well, the reason I am doing this today is you can see it's dirty. The little chicks, for the first week, or well, the first couple of days, the hen will pick out their droppings and throw it out. When they get to be 4 or 5 days old, they scoot their little rears up and scoot it out or on the rim, and the actual nest part is fairly clean. So let's dump them out. Come on, little guys. And the middle part is fairly clean. Okay, so we'll put them in this little one, this clean one. Make sure it's in there nice. Burlap is in there good, so we'll just, these are ready to go back in a clean nest. And we'll see how it goes. And so with the dirty nest, you just pull off the tape and the liner, whether it's the filter or whatever you use for liner, and you have a fairly clean nest. So here's another nest that's got some older chicks and they are made a dirty nest. There's some seed and more dust in here, so it is time to move them. Definitely time to move them. So, oh boy, he'll be an opal, and the rest will be an agate. And you can see the difference in age, being say hatched over. Okay, that one's probably a male. He squawked. And quite often the male. Oh, it's this one that squawked. Oh, so the guy, he's a couple of days away from flying out of the nest probably, but you can see yeah, he jumps. That's one of those signs of, you can watch for a little guy to see the ones that jump are males. So this one is younger. You know, you can see that I left the eggs in the nest as she laid them, and she started hatching or incubating. So they hatched maybe, 4 days apart. So, but his little neck is full, and he'll always feel younger, but he'll be doing fine. So that's another nest. This is a nest of chicks that were just hatched last time, and they're getting big. Come on, hens, you get off. These are the ones that were hatching about a week ago, so they're getting larger. They were such tiny little things to start with. That was what's going on in the bird room at the moment, and I think, there's a lot of things happening every day, and I'm going to try to do this a little sooner, or at least film as it's happening, so the next time you see me, will be kind of, in progress. So some of the ones you see today that are jumping out of the nest the next time will probably be weaned and on their own, and the hens will be on a second nest. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If I say something you don't understand. I'm going to show you the garbage, how to properly dispose of your trash. Let's talk garbage. I have a definite opinion on disposing of your trash from your bird room. Most people may think they can toss out the extra seed hulls and various sweepings outside, or maybe you have a dustpan full every day and it's easy to get rid of. With this many birds, I have quite a bit of garbage. You sweep off the floor, you clean out the cages, and I don't want any of the seeds in the bird seed to go outside. I mean, they're not native to this area, they're not a crop we grow here. Maybe they're not invasive, maybe they are. I don't want them outside. And I don't want the droppings of my birds to be outside. My birds may have a bacteria or an infection or something that they're tolerant to, but the outside birds are not. I hope not. I try hard not to. I think I have perfectly safe birds, but you never know. So, the safest way for me is to get a seed sack, put it in the garbage can, put a trash liner in. When it gets full, we got it tied up. It's easy and safe to carry. You're not going to dribble seed all over to your trash can or all over your pickup hauling it to the landfill. So this is a safe and easy way. That's it for this week. I do have topics laid out for the next episode, and so I got some videos taken, and hopefully we cover something you find interesting. Until then.